Now, rolling.
I'm rolling.
3, 2, 1.
Marky!
No.
See, you like how I did that with the
Very
French?
good.
Yeah, well, just do a proper one in case.
All right.
In case Tom is annoyed about it. 3, 2, 1.
Mark. I can't imagine he would be annoyed by it.
Well, I don't know. The thing is, Tom's been editing this podcast for 5 years now, and
Oh my god.
and we don't give him enough. I think he should be the shout out for this episode.
All right, let's do that right now. In fact,
Okay.
Tom, you don't need to even change anything. This is the intro to the podcast now with the Mark.
This is for you.
With
This
Sips
one?
fucking about. Yes, that is the intro. Because I want people to know what Tom has to put up with and how tyrannical Lewis is about the marks and doing them
Well, look,
correctly.
it's just if we're out of sync through the whole podcast by a little bit,
Yeah, it's
it'll
very
really annoy
annoying.
Tom.
It will
You
first,
you
but
can
then the
shuffle
audience.
it along a bit, though. Like, I think you got to give the guy... You gotta give him room to breathe, right? You gotta give him a chance to do his thing. You can't.
Yeah, that's true.
You
I
can't
trust
smother
Tom.
him.
I trust Tom.
trust
He has
him.
to put his the sparkle of fairy dust on
does.
this, a little sprinkle.
He's
got
got to
magic
sprinkle
powder
the unicorn, flaked
On this-
unicorn semen all over the
on this bowl
magical
of
properties.
bran flakes or whatever
Yes.
we are.
Well, we would like to say, I think I speak for us all, when thank you, Tom,
Yes.
for editing this shit show for 5 years.
Yes.
You do a fantastic job, and I'm sure that we could all... A little round of applause.
Yeah.
Tom.
I think
Tom
I think
can
that-
have the big
do you know
up
what?
this week.
He's got the big up. If this podcast is the Jordan's Country Crisp, you know, and you're the
Oh
oak
my
flakes,
God. Okay,
you know,
listen
Sips.
though. On that subject, I had some Jordan's. It wasn't country crisp. It was like nuts and clusters or something. Holy shit! It's so
I'm the
good.
coconut. P-Flax is the barley flakes,
Oh.
and then the freeze-dried strawberry. That's you, Tom.
I'm gonna be I'm the Lucky Charms with
You know, speaking of these cereal types, I noticed I had a pop-up on my TikTok messages to say that I was followed by Dorset Cereals.
Nice.
Which is a brand of cereal I have purchased and enjoyed.
Wow.
Why the fuck are they following my stupid TikTok account?
Why is it that you have local shit, like the local beer and the local stuff? What is it with you? Is it? It's like you're getting into your local community.
He's the right demographic. He's in his
Exactly.
40s. He's got disposable income. He's got kids and everything.
Yeah.
This is the type of guy that these places depend on, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Flax is the kind of guy who would seek out a local craft brew.
But it also
or
turns
like
out that he lives next door to the factory that makes some
True.
local brand.
Flax, how far away are you from your house to join the 12-hour queue to pay your respects to the Queen lying in state?
Well, I don't know, because I was reading about this today. I realised by the time this goes out, the queue may have died down. So apologise if it's
Well,
no
I don't
longer
think she'll be
topical.
lying in state anymore, right? It's
No, I
only-
think she has
it's
to
only-
stay there until the queue dies down. She's going to be there for years.
Holy shit!
Whoa.
No,
They
it's
gotta
not
have
true.
some little air conditioners or something.
No, they have
inside.
nothing.
Okay, well that's gonna stink after a while, right? Like, I mean, we're heading into autumn, so maybe
I think
that'll
they've
help.
rubbed
but-
her in a wax or whatever they do
Come
to
on.
keep her going. Jesus Christ, guys, just show some respect.
Sorry.
The Queen has died.
I can't make it to London to show my respect in person, so I'm gonna do it on the podcast instead.
I'm going to watch it on the TV. That's what I'm
Yeah.
going to do. That's going to
Yeah.
show my
It
respect.
is a fascinating and all-encompassing piece of news that really is, regardless of what you think about the monarchy and comments that we may have made in the past, I'm sure our true feelings are that it could have been worse to have someone else in charge for all this time. You know, the Queen has, despite obviously some people... However your feelings, I think that, you know, she has been on the throne for our and my parents' entire lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
Not your dad's entire life. I think he's older
Yeah,
than
your
my
dad
mum.
would have probably remembered the king before.
Your dad
I
is
think
over 70.
She took over in 1952, and your dad is like almost 100. So like,
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's true.
Good
I suppose
research
so.
is always done on this podcast before.
That's
before
true.
this.
All right. Fact checking. I'll get fact checked immediately there by you guys. But I guess like I acknowledge that, you know, she was a solid foundation. You know, she was
Yeah.
always like pretty pretty decent. There were no real controversies around.
Not
really,
with
no.
her. Not with her
Not
specifically.
with her.
She was
You know,
I mean,
always-
everyone else.
Yeah,
Oh,
oh,
my
yeah.
God. It's
Yeah.
like the National Enquirer. Everyone else is absolutely off the rails, you know.
But so there's
they
a
do get
question for you.
criticised
Do
for-
you think the amount of sort of controversy that there's been around pretty much every other major royal, but we never hear anything about the Queen? Do you think that's just because it's like it is assumed that whatever she does just gets swept under the rug, like
Oh
completely?
no, it's like a team of like cover-ups, like Men in
Right.
Black style.
Exactly.
I think
cover-up.
that there's definitely a degree of covering up, but I think also she just really took the job seriously as well.
I think she
you
may
know?
have done. Yeah.
Like I think there's probably a couple of bits and pieces, but overall, like I don't think that she. I think she had like an idea of how things should be and lived that as well, right?
Yeah, I
like,
know, I think
I
that's
also
I
I
agree
get
with
I
that.
get the impression, and I don't know whether this is true at all, but I get the impression that she didn't particularly want the job, but it fell on her, and she felt like she was just going to do her best and do her duty, and you know,
Yeah.
And I always like that as a comment, like on running things. I feel
Yeah.
like the people who should run the country are people who don't want to run it. You know, almost like you know.
Well, that's what they say, right? They say even about politicians, like they say the best politicians would never run to become a politician, right?
They're
like the best
reluctant
candidates.
heroes. Yeah.
Yeah, they would never want to even do the job, right? Like they've asked people like in the past, like I'm like for instance, I'm not saying that I would like Oprah Winfrey to become the president or Dr. Phil or whatever, but these are big icons in American culture, right? That people have often said
Especially
like, oh, what
Oprah,
if
I think.
Oprah was president or whatever? But she's even said herself, like, I would never even consider running
Yeah.
to
Let's
become.
get her
I
in.
don't want to be in politics.
Yes.
Like it's
Let's
just a
get her in.
nightmare. And I agree. I'd be the same.
I mean, God, she's almost as old as Biden now, though. Jeez, Oprah.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah, she's pretty
perfect age.
Yeah.
Right, I do have a
Um,
question actually, and I would like if anyone wants to email in because Sips, Lewis and I were saying beforehand we've got a lot of emails in the mailbag, so I thought we might do a mailbag episode today because we got some
Okay.
good ones.
Yeah.
And one of the things I
Fuck
would
it.
like to know is I've been reading some stuff about people blaming the Queen and saying that she has blood on her hands and stuff like that for the colonial policies that happened on her watch, as it were.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's not like she's like actually has much authority. I'm just curious when people criticize the royals for being out of touch and costing us money and what the fuck do we still have this for? I get all that. I understand all of those criticisms. I am completely ambivalent either way. Like when the Queen died, we were actually filming something and I was like, oh, the Queen's died. We went, oh, and then got back with work, right? When
Of
we
course.
got on
Yeah.
with
I
our
mean,
job.
sure.
Yeah, it was like, it was weird and it was obviously a big news story. And I understand my mum was very upset. I understand people who was very upset. I'm not judging any of that. I'm just saying, what exactly could or should the Queen have done when she's not actually like a Crusader Kings style monarch?
No, I mean,
You
she
know what I
doesn't
mean?
hold any tangible
Any kind of power at all.
Yeah.
So I was just curious.
She's just a very sort of like high-ranking ambassador for all intents and purposes, right?
Right.
She's like a diplomat. She's
Right.
She's a cultural.
She's a figurehead.
Head, like an icon. But really, like all she does is she receives important people who see her as a big deal, and I mean she was like a pretty big deal, of course, as well. But the argument that like they cost us money and all that, I mean, it's like in the grand scheme of things, it's like a fucking rounding error, the amount of money that they get from the taxpayer. It's not actually that much. Like it's a drop in the pond sort of thing.
Also, I'm pretty sure they do generate a lot.
They do, and they give a lot of it back too, which is not.
I think
people
a lot
don't
of
realize.
Americans
like,
come here because of the royals.
I think on their holdings they pay like 80% tax or something. Like it's insane. Like they generate a ton of money. I think most of the money that they generate through tourism goes back into the government. Like I think if you have issue with like the way all of this is, like I don't care either way, but like a fact is a fact, right?
Yeah,
like if you have issue with the way that money's being mismanaged, you should channel your anger towards the shitty government that's been in place for the last decade or so, and probably not the monarchy.
I guess I'd rather not have them, but I'd also rather not have the Kardashians. I'd rather not have all these other reality TV stars either. Do you know what I mean? But we're sort of stuck with them, and you're right. Like people do say, like, oh, but the Queen can veto things. She can put a stop to bad
Yeah,
policy.
but she
can
doesn't,
actually make a
though.
difference.
That's the
but here's the
point.
thing: if she did, we would be like, oh, okay, the Queen's getting in the way
Right.
of.
Yeah.
We don't actually, and then she wouldn't be the Queen anymore. Do you know what I mean? They just make it as soon as there was an actually. It's like these old laws that people don't enact anymore. You know, it's
Right.
like there's a law from 1919 that says, you know, you can't, you know, go into a public restroom with a red hat on or some bullshit law. No one's getting arrested for that, right? Because it's out of date. And in the same way, sure, like the Queen could, in principle, put a stop to something going through, or decide not to choose a new prime minister, or whatever her powers are. But at the end of the day, she is not ever going to do that, because it's never been done since the hundreds of years.
Yeah, I think the last queen that properly meddled in politics was probably Victoria, but even then, controversially, and the prince consort at the time was like not happy about it and would like constantly tell her not to. But even then, it was behind the scenes. She couldn't just. You couldn't really be outspoken on your views and stuff like that in that capacity, even back then. And that's a long time ago, right?
I honestly think one of the roles that the Queen does is she has this ability, or at least like a semi-power, to scare the new people straight when they come in. Right? And so
yeah, that's her role.
because you know, on their first week in the job, they have to sign. Basically, one of the things that Liz Truss had to do in her first week was write to all the nuclear submarines and nuclear silos, telling them, writing that secret letter that goes in the vault in case the submarine loses contact with Great Britain. And what are their orders? Are their orders to do a first strike on, you know, another country?
Yeah,
which is a terrifying thing to do, right? And so that's one of the things which is like
even more
fuck,
terrifying that Liz Truss would have any sort of authority over that as well. I mean,
exactly. So, but then they have to go see the Queen and meet the Queen and go through all this whole symbolic, like every prime minister talks about it. You know, about they go to these places and you know the Queen's, all of the Queen's assistants and people have all this pomp and ceremony, all of these like special hats and special things you have to do, and you can't kiss her hand, and you have to bend down, you have to wait in this antechamber for X minutes while the heralds play the trumpets. You know, it's ridiculous, like and overwhelming and kind of reducing. You know, the thing about these people is their power, their grandiosity.
Yeah.
You know, it's in the same way that the church would build these epic buildings to kind of psychologically force you to be like in awe
of course,
of them and their power.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, they didn't need to be like that, but they found that it worked to have them like that. You know, it cowed people. And I think that, you know, anyone coming in and trying to be the leader of the free world needs to be cowed somehow.
Yeah.
Especially if they've got a fucking gigantic
world.
Ego.
Yeah. I like the
ego.
I know it's front and center right now, like because the Queen has died and it's dominating the news in the UK for sure, but it's not always like that, right? You hear about the royals every once in a while, like if they monumentally fuck up, or you know, a new ship is built or something like that. But otherwise, you barely hear about them, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the most we've heard lately, apart from her dying, was Prince Andrew being a nonce. Like,
yeah, but that was
it.
2019. That really awkward interview was years ago now, right? Like, and like,
yeah, but we still hear about it.
The only thing that's really happened
do.
since is, I guess, Harry and Meghan, which nobody really cares about.
Oh my God, my mum cares about that so much.
Yeah, I think all the gossip magazines do too.
Oh my God, she never shuts up about it.
Oh,
She's on
hilarious.
fucking on Facebook. I see her messages on all these articles about it.
Yeah.
She fucking hates them. And like, I was like, what are you doing? Like, what
I
have they actually done?
The thing that makes me laugh all the time with the royals and people's perception of the royals and like all these gossip magazines and stuff like that is how they kind of try to equate them as normal people. And yeah, they will be normal people in some senses for sure, but they're not normal people,
No,
right? They're not
normal.
like you and me. They don't do their own laundry. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like these people live really, really different lifestyles, right? But then, like,
Yeah.
I love how these magazines always try to, like, make them seem like, oh, you know, maybe Megan was just fed up because she had too much washing that day or whatever. And you're like, all right, come on. Like, she's not a fucking housewife, like in the conventional sense, right? But, like, I guess it's like a way to relate to them, or people like to imagine them like that or whatever. But, man, it's so funny. Like,
It's true.
It is a weird thing to think about.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we've moved away from so much of that idea of servants, you know, cooking for us. But I don't know how much, you know, they order takeout and
Shall we get Deliveroo, darling? Shall we get some
yeah, do you know
Deliveroo?
what I mean? I still think they might do some things that we do. I think they still
Do you reckon?
will watch
Do you reckon?
the new Game of Thrones and
Yeah, no, they
stuff,
They do
you
for
know?
sure. They do all of these things.
They're
but
human. I mean, they're not like lizard people,
Yeah.
you know, doing like incubating the next brood of eggs.
But like,
or whatever,
but at
you
the
know.
same time, you know, they don't just they don't go and walk behind their grandmother's coffin and then at 5 o'clock, clock off and go home and put their feet up and
Have a wank.
watch Emmerdale either. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
so you're saying that the first thing you thought to do getting home from a funeral of a relative was to bash one out.
Just like
it's
you
a
and
highly
me.
sexually charged situation.
Just
You know, you're like,
all the rest
holy
of us.
crap, I'm wearing my really good underpants today. Like, I'm feeling fruity. It's like a fucking carnival down there in my pants. But outside, you know, you got to be like all sad and stuff. I don't know.
It's getting all pent up during. You have to release all of that.
You've never
you
felt
know,
really
energy.
horny during a funeral before?
No, because I always have a wank before the funeral.
Oh,
Right,
fair
right.
enough, fair enough. The preemptive strike. It's the
Old prepared P-flex.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, what you got in the mailbag? Because otherwise we're never going to do
Mailbag.
anything.
Yeah,
in
we're
this
only
stupid
20 minutes
episode.
in, no problem. All right, this is from Hannah. Hi, Pyrian, and I think they mean all of us.
Just
it's
you.
that it's my
no,
email
it's fair
address.
enough. It's nice that you get a personal email just to you
No, it's fine.
in the
But
mailbag.
it's for all of us. I love the show. Sadly, I have nothing interesting to say. That's a great opening to
Yeah.
an email, by the way. I just wanted to
What's
say
in the rest of this fucking
I'll tell
email
you.
then?
one of your previous correspondents, or definitely a listener, might have been an ex-boyfriend of mine, and she wanted to say hello to Tom the geologist. Tom
Wow.
the geologist was an email that we read out. However,
Okay.
Hannah works in forensic and criminal justice, so if we have any questions about justice, the justice system and criminal justice, we can ask Hannah. We have a new segment on the show called Ask Hannah. So do you guys
Is this-
have any pending questions about criminal and forensic justice?
Yeah.
What
you
in the
can type them
UK?
out now.
She's from the UK, presumably.
I assume so.
This is important, actually. Ask that. That could be the first question.
I would say she is, yes.
Okay,
Her last name is very British, I'll put it that
But
way.
Right.
again, you can't make assumptions.
What
in a
is her
criminal
last
case,
name? Like
you know.
Basingstoke or something like that.
It's like along the line, I'm not going to say it because obviously I want her to have her,
Sounds British.
but it is a very British sounding last name. Yes.
Mountbatten Carlisle, like a double
No, it's
barrel.
not. It's not that fancy. It's the opposite of fancy. No offense,
Okay.
Hannah.
All right.
She sounds
Oh.
like it's the last name I would expect from someone from fucking Sheffield or somewhere like that.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, just
right.
we'll have a think about some questions. If we ever have any, we know.
Well, yeah, I've got loads of questions. I will send them up. We can't be with P-Flex typing them out right now.
Just think of one.
I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of one, okay? Like, I was like, when are they going to legalize marijuana in this country? How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like
There you go,
Like
Hannah.
how-
Answer that. Riddle me this.
Yeah.
When
How-
can I buy some weed legally in
Here's
the
here's
UK?
here's an actual sort of legal question as well that you might have some experience with. How often are criminal cases resolved by a deal being done beforehand
Oh,
to
like
get the case sorted? And be
settlement.
like, if
like
you,
a like a plea bargain.
plead to
or-
this, and
Yeah.
we'll just case closed. You do 3 years, job done.
We'll put
because
you
you don't
in
wanna go to
witness
trial.
protection and
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, your
think
thoughts
it's gotta
about
be a lot,
your
right?
thoughts about the destruction of legal aid by these Tory bastards and how miserable an effect that's had on the justice system, especially for the poor. I'd like to hear
How
your
many
thoughts on that.
butt-related crimes.
Yeah, how many
are there?
crimes involve assholes? Like
Involve a
in the
butt.
literal sense, a butt or
Yeah.
or the hole.
Like
Like an
a-
exposed butt.
An exposed
like-
butt. I woke up
like,
and there it was, right in front of my face. His exposed butt.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, if that's even
I guess there must be quite a lot,
grounds
actually.
for a
Oh
trial.
God, yeah. All right, we got
That's
a next email here. This is from Awful Player. So they're in the right place. This is an American lad did jury duty. Says that their experience was different because they were given printouts of the legal definition of all the crimes they were being asked to rule on.
Right.
And their impression, basically, I don't have much confidence in the system as a whole, primarily because it relies on average people to make very important legal distinctions. Imagine how much stock you would put into the opinion of some random stranger you might meet in a bar, then put a group of those people together, let them decide one of the most important things that could probably happen to you. I would say a solid 80 to 90% of candidates tried to get out of jury duty, with most reasons involving I'm really busy or I just don't want to. So that's one thing. They don't really want to be there. In the case I was assigned, there was video evidence of the events. It was not much a plea of innocence as a degree of severity. It came down to a distinction between intent to do harm versus accidental harm. We had 7 members, 6 primaries, and a hidden alternate who was let go before final deliberations. I would say out of the 7, 5 had made up their minds almost immediately. When it came to final deliberations, 4 basically decided already, but myself and another person insisted we at least do one last review. We did end up finding the defendant guilty of the harsher crime, but most of the jury wasn't really that interested in having a thorough review of the evidence. They just wanted it to be done so they could go home.
Yeah.
That's
well,
probably pretty much the way it is.
I think that is always how it's been. Even if you look at like classically 12 Angry Men,
Right.
which is a fantastic movie. Yes, it's black and white, but get over it.
Jesus.
It's only like 80 minutes long or something, and I think it was a play beforehand, or at least it
very
feels
famous.
like a play.
It's very, very good. They remade
because
it. The original is really
and
good.
I mean, basically, it's 12 guys in a jury, locked in a jury thing, and a lot of them are like this. One guy's got a lot of them are like, I gotta go. I've got family. I've got jobs. I don't care. I
gotta catch the game. I want to go to the game.
Yeah, I would want to do anything but be on jury duty. Honestly, like if they summoned me, I would think of any excuse to get out of it.
I think at the same time, you've got to appreciate that if it's an important thing and it's someone's life on the line, you can't shirk that responsibility too much. You still have to make the bare minimum effort to go through and give them some respect, right? Even you wouldn't just be like, I don't care what happens to this person.
Right.
You would care.
I would
be
really
interested.
want to see the process and want to be involved in it and try to make as good a decision as possible. But most people, they don't give a shit. They just really don't give a shit. And I think, they've been called up for, fucking jury, and they're just sick of it. And
I think again, maybe it leads into
awful.
my earlier point, though, of like, sometimes the people who don't want to do it are the right people to do it. You don't necessarily want someone going in with an agenda, right? Like some racist guy saying, well, he's brown, so he did it. You need people to fight that. And you also need people you don't really want people who are like, oh, I can't wait to do jury duty so I can, lay down some punishment on people who deserve it. Some psychos. You have to have the balance, right, of the ordinary people. I think people are inherently good. Yeah, they're lazy. Sure, they don't want to be there. Sure, but I think that, and having not done it, I don't know whether this is the case. I didn't know. I don't have anything to draw.
I mean, it might have just been a bad jury that the guy was on. The person who emailed in. It might just have been a bad jury. It might just be one of those times when it sucks. But I read a book. It's called Homicide: A Year on the Killing Streets.
Yes, it's a great book. Yeah,
great book. And in there they talk about
it's David Simon.
Yeah, it's David Simon.
Yeah.
This is what formed the basis for Homicide.
Yeah, the
TV series,
yeah.
And then The Wire and all the rest of it. So very interesting. And in there, the police talk about the fact that you can have everything in place for a conviction, and the jury just goes, nah, we just don't think so, and they just acquit. Or the guy is literally clearly didn't do it, and the jury's like, yeah, we just think he did it, and the guy goes down for it. So
he just looks guilty.
Yeah, he just didn't like what he said there. He picked his nose when he was on the stand, so I think he did it. It's like literally that random, and the jury is like the worst part of the justice system. And I think Hannah to confirm, obviously, our legal expert standing by, but I'm pretty sure that most people that work in the legal profession would agree. I would assume that the worst element of any trial is the jury.
Yeah,
dealing with the jury is the most fucking coin flip element, and honestly, just a fucking bag of cats.
Yeah, it's like a game,
organizing.
right? Like you remember all the stuff that they had to go through with jury selection and all of the hoops and everything, like with big trials, like the OJ trial, for example.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know
what do they call it? Did they call it voir dire? I think they call it voir dire, which is like jury selection. Because in the States, you can come in and ask the jurors questions and say, we want this guy out of here. And you eventually settle on 12 people that are sort of...
but they're just... agree on. They're just lining up their pieces to, you know, they want people that they can say, this person is definitely going to vote in favor for us. These are people that we're not sure about, and then there's going to be a handful of people that you know for sure aren't going to vote in your favor or whatever. But you're just trying to assemble the board as you know, if you will, like to.
I feel like these elements are like tacked on, right?
Yeah.
So obviously the trial by peers is a historic thing, but it's clearly flawed, you know, because you know if you get a biased jury, then you're gonna lose or win, and so. It's like how do we try and get a neutral jury? And so then we have to have each side pick half of the jurors, and then you know it's kind of like continual like extra crap to try and fix what is not a very good system in the first place. But what the fuck else is the other
because
options?
In a way you don't want to be left in a situation where it's one person, the judge, going, I think you're right, he did it, bang. Because that's like, what the fuck? And then their personal bias might come in to the sentencing decision and stuff like that. So having 12 people, however many are on the jury, decide things in a way, since the law is based around reasonable suspicion and, you know, reasonable doubt, you have to assume that between 12 people, hopefully, the reasonableness would average out.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I mean, sometimes it's, sometimes with cases, though, the evidence and everything just speaks for itself, right?
Yeah.
And there's no question. People are just like, oh, well, whatever. You know what I mean? It'd be crazy to not convict this person or whatever. But it's the cases where it's like there's not an overwhelming amount of evidence, so it's left to kind of opinion or like gut feelings about something. Those are the ones
I think
that
there's
are
so much
the most
of that,
unfair.
though. That's the thing.
Like,
it's really terrible. Like, and in a sense, like if you've got a lawyer who's able to make funny quips and make the jury laugh and bring them onto his side, suddenly it's you know very polarizing.
Yeah.
People are very much drawn to the funny man, the kind of. Because how can he be wrong? You know, he's nice. He's a nice guy. I believe him.
Yeah,
you know,
I just like I know just from watching stuff as well, like, you know, like The Staircase, Making a Murderer and stuff like that. I feel like those cases, especially, the evidence is not like super straightforward, and then there is a lot of emphasis on the jury being picked properly to swing it, you know, either way or whatever as well. There's a lot of like people coming into the jury booth with preconceived notions of, you know, what's happened, how they feel about the defendants or whatever and stuff as well. I feel like those cases are the worst ones, right?
Yeah.
And they don't feel fair.
This is definitely the impression that we get, right, from the outside.
Like, I remember even on The Staircase, you know, they're trying to present this evidence that they found the murder weapon and everything. And there was like so much evidence to the contrary. But you know what I mean? So it's like all of a sudden you have this like really, you know, smoking gun piece of evidence, but then it's, you know, it's presented as no, that can't possibly be
right.
But then it's already been presented as like this. Oh, this is the one, and it would sway some people's opinions, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially if they're not legally minded or if they're not even remotely reasonable.
But think about this as well. How often does that thing just get lodged in the back of their mind?
Yeah.
So they're not even really aware of why they're swinging one way or another. And they wouldn't be able... I mean, that's one of the reasons that quite often you'll see they'll say something that gets stricken for the record. The jury will disregard that. Yeah. But you can't. It's like saying, don't think of an elephant. It's like literally the legal equivalent of that. Your Honor, I would like to invoke the don't think of an elephant law and say, my client didn't do it. Strike that from the record.
It's tough. Like in the case of the staircase, again, I'm just using it as an example, but like the accused sexuality was brought into it when it had
Right.
nothing to do with the
Nothing
crime
to do,
whatsoever.
yeah.
But then
Well,
there was
so that was the implication that his motive was that she found out.
but
But is that enough to bash someone's brains in? Because also apparently she
Sure.
already knew it was a whole big thing anyway.
yeah, but
me.
the fact of the matter is if if you're doing jury selection and you're really analyzing all of these potential jurors and then picking the ones that are like known homophobes or something like that.
Right.
I mean, good for you. You've pretty much won the case, right? Like you don't even need evidence or whatever. You could just you could just find these little dumb loopholes and get people to vote in favor, and you've done it. But like, has justice been served? Probably not.
No.
Like,
What is fascinating though is that we always have been fascinated by the murder mystery, right?
Yeah.
And the idea that, like, you know, when you watch all of these TV and movie based things, it's also clean cut and obvious and tied up in a neat bow. But real crime isn't like that at all.
No.
And there's just so much of it is just based on suspicion or and they don't have DNA evidence for everything.
big cases like that, I'd say average cases that go through court are very straightforward, though. It's like,
Yeah, no, I think they are.
Here we have video evidence of you killing somebody. You're guilty. Like
But
that.
I mean, like 99% of fucking court cases are probably simple, straightforward legal shit around things like driving offenses.
Yeah, and then
divorce settlements.
You might
about a
have
fence.
settlements, or like if you injured yourself at Disney World or something like that, like you'd probably get a settlement before it went to court.
Yeah,
or
I guess
whatever.
any of these murders that Poirot or like Knives Out,
Midsummer
style,
Murders,
all
of the Midsummer Murders.
Yeah, any of them would be like global news.
I just
wouldn't
checked
it?
my
Kind of
calendar. There
thing.
was a murder here every day last year.
But even worse, the killer in those always confesses. At the end.
Well, because they're all like really
Poirot.
posh. Yeah, they're super posh, so they're just like, well, the game is up.
Looks like the party's
Good
over.
show.
Well done, Poirot, I must say. A tip of the hat.
Even
to you.
worse in Poirot's time, because they were going to the hangman, when they were found guilty. So it wasn't like they were.
No, Monsieur Brindley, you shall be hanged by the neck until you are dead for the murder of Lady Shuttlesworth and her partner, Monsieur Bon Appetit.
Oh man,
I'm hyped for more Daniel Craig though, because there's a new Knives Out.
Oh yeah, I didn't really get into the other one. I got like halfway through and I was like, I was just kind of bored.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I for one require more murder mystery movies. I love them.
Can I tell you guys something interesting that happened to me this week? In fact,
Is it going to be 10 minutes long and about a bath plug?
no.
Okay, then crack on. Son.
I had an MRI scan, which I've
fuck
never
me.
had before.
Are you okay?
Well, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I guess they're gonna find out. Like that's why they did
Jesus.
it.
Which part of you got scanned?
My abdomen, like my middle, so that I had to go through the tube. But I was like sticking out the other end because they're just like my pelvic area was being scanned.
Did you get another dildo stuck up there?
Yes, yeah.
Something?
I had.
They find like 100 pennies.
Too many Hot Wheels cars. Yeah, there's like a whole fleet of Ford Transit vans up my ass. So. The experience was wild though. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know how long it would take or anything either.
How long did it take?
Like half an hour.
Jesus.
But it can take longer depending. I think if they're scanning, like if they're
And
doing
it's
brain
loud,
scans,
right? Isn't
it's
it super
super
loud?
loud. Yeah. I mean, they give you like headphones and sort of pipe the radio through so that it's not so bad.
Did you do this in Jersey, or did you have to come to
in
the
Jersey?
mainland?
Yeah.
Right.
No, they got a really big MRI scanner in Jersey. It's nice. So
you went in. Did you have to go get naked and put one of those butt robes on?
I just like they gave me like a kind of like a loose shirt and then some pants, like some blue like scrub pants, I guess. I don't know.
But were you naked underneath those? So it's like
No,
pajamas.
I just had my boxers. They said just leave
Okay.
your underpants, your socks and shoes on, and then put this on. So I did.
Okay.
And I couldn't have any of my bling on. I had to take all my jewelry off.
The giant
I was
clock
upset
around your
about
neck
that.
had to go.
Yeah, I had to bring my big Flavor Flav
Like
clock. Had to
Mr.
come
T
off.
having to get a fucking
Yes.
MRI.
Yeah. But
They're gonna need a
nicely,
bigger drawer for all of
they
his stuff.
provide you with like a little locker so you can put all your stuff in
Okay.
and stuff. And then you get on. They put you on the little bed thing, sort of prop you up a little bit. Put some headphones on you. They give you this rubber button in case you get like freaked out in there because it is like pretty cramped. Like it's claustrophobic.
What, just to keep you company, or
No,
you
because
can
like
press
if you're in there,
Oh.
it's like a really imagine like crawling through like an air duct or something
I
like that,
couldn't
right?
stand it, dude.
Yeah.
Just get me
So
out.
okay, but what they do is they give you this angled visor with a mirror on it, so that and they put it like like Geordie LaForge style, like right close to your eyes, so that if you look directly at it, the mirror angles out to the back, so you can actually see the back of the room. So you don't feel like you're actually inside the chamber.
Oh my god.
But it's a VR visor as well. So there was like this nice like beach scene with like seagulls and like stuff flying around. The clouds were
Okay.
moving and everything.
What the
Sounds
fuck?
like you went private, if I may say so.
No, it's not. It was not private at all. It was it's just
Really?
this
NHS,
huge machine with
Maybe
like
it's
a
just
whole
to
team
distract
running
you,
it.
Yeah.
And when you get in there, it's loud as fuck. It's like beeping and revving up, and you can hear it's like chugging and stuff. It's kind of cool. And then they just sort of you got the headphones on, so the lady that was operating the whole thing and doing the scans was like talking to me like the whole time. So she'd be like, "Okay, stay still. This next one's going to take 3 minutes. It'll be loud, but don't worry, and I'll talk to you again in a minute." And then so it just goes like bam, 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 like making all these noises and stuff. And then but you can't move at all. Because if you move, because they have to do like this pre-planning for like for the scan or whatever. At one point I shuffled a little because my ass was like kind of sore because I was just laying in the same spot for 20 minutes. And I thought between scans I could just move around a little bit and like adjust myself. And she's like, "Whoa, wait a second. Did you just sit up completely?" I was like, "No, I just shuffled a little bit, like I was a little bit uncomfortable." And she's like, "Hang on a second, I gotta replan out all the scans or something." I was like, "Oh shit!"
Oh
Like,
my
I thought I screwed the whole thing up,
God.
but I think it was fine in the end. But yeah, it was it was an experience for sure.
That is
but-
the worst. Just
Man,
just
it
like
made me
that must
really
be the worst thing,
appreciate
like being
how
really itchy
fucking
and not being
awesome modern medicine is as well. Because like,
Yeah, that's nuts.
you see the pictures that come out of that thing. I didn't see my own, but like I've seen some pictures that come out of them, and it's fucking incredible, man. Like,
So was this something that you felt like your doctor was like, "We need an MRI scan"? Like, is
well,
this
a consultant. I went to my doctor, and my doctor referred me to a consultant, and then the consultant's like, "Okay, we're gonna do this, and this," and then. But part of it was like an MRI, and then there's like a couple of other things as well. But
Oh my goodness! Now I'm worried. Dude.
well, it's not. I'm not actually like super worried. Like it's something, but it's also like probably not super serious. But when I
Okay.
know what it is, like I'll tell you guys for sure. But I don't want to
Okay.
like
It's a
unnecessarily.
new clutch of eggs that you're incubating.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all those like miniature Tonka trucks that are jammed up there too. I gotta.
Yeah, I mean,
I
you
gotta
got to
clear
keep
the
them
passage.
somewhere, right? Otherwise, the kids will play with them.
But I just the whole experience was interesting though with the MRI and stuff. I know, like I was talking to Northern Lion because he had like colonoscopy and a CT scan kind of recently, which is a little bit different. But I mean I've never had anything like that. No scans, like nothing. Like I've had surgery once in my life, and it was keyhole to have my gallbladder removed. But otherwise, like I've never broken a bone or anything. So
yeah.
my experiences in the hospital are fairly limited. So being in that big machine that I've seen on TV enough times or whatever, like, in the Sopranos and stuff, you just think, holy shit, like I've actually been in one of those. It was kind of cool. It was neat. It's impressive for sure.
I like that your vibe with it is a little bit like your son being impressed by a truck,
Yeah,
or
it's like your
stuff
dad,
this,
your
do you know what I
dad
mean?
going to an air show or something like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Just
though.
marveling
That's
at the
cool.
technology. It is impressive though.
They are really cool. Seeing like
fucking nuts, yeah.
just like when I used to work in chemistry lab, we'd have some big fancy machines that are similar. There's an NMR machine, which is this nuclear magnetic resonance, which is this uses magnetic fields and liquid nitrogen to like Fucking, I don't know what it does. It's very complicated. But the idea is that you're supposed to be able to use it to identify compounds, a little bit like they do in the crime lab. You know, I'm sure they got one in the crime labs, but it's a very expensive machine and very scary because it's got all these warning doors. It's like, do not enter this room. Because it will have super magnets. And
you went in there, didn't you?
Do not go past this line. There's always some idiot who brings a pair of scissors in there or something,
It's like, it's like the whole premise of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was just that, right? It was like,
do not touch.
Here's a crazy factory. Don't step out of line, and everybody does, right? Like,
apart from Charlie,
except for Charlie. But then, even then, he's rewarded with scorn at the end, right? Well, no, actually he does. He gets like the super tour, but there is a point where you think, holy shit.
He goes up in the glass elevator at the end, actually. Do you not remember Charlie in the glass elevator?
Yeah. And with his granddad burping in the big fan room.
Fucking Grandpa
Maybe
Joe,
that's why I was so into maybe that's what helped get me into chemistry and working in the lab. I don't know.
You were watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as a kid.
I definitely was.
Mummy!
Can I be an Oompa Loompa when I grow up?
Mummy! Yes, Lulu? I want to be a chemist like Willy Wonka. Well, he's not. I want to be a chemist like Willy Wonka. Very well, Lewis.
Wow, that is not how that conversation went down, P-Flex. I can assure you.
We got an email here. This is meant to be a mailbag episode. We've done 2.
Well, we could just make it a regular episode. Who cares? We'll do a mail one.
Man, it's
like
kind of it's like a hybrid. It's like half normal and half mailbag. It's fine.
This is something we were talking about a few episodes ago, actually. This is from Harley. Hi, Period. I thought I'd tell you of an extremely awkward moment yesterday while traveling to work on the bus, listening to Triforce through my earphones, and I think a guy either heard it or saw me looking at it on Spotify over my shoulder, so he felt he should let me know that he has a tiny penis. Okay. And there were several old people on the bus, and a couple sat directly 3 feet away. He did not really say this quietly, so much so that the old woman of the pair looked over in what I could only describe as horror and anguish. I turned to him and just said, "All right then," and didn't speak to him anymore, as I thought I would have died of embarrassment. Lads, if you're listening to this and you're that guy, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Chill. Pass a note.
Just
or a little
note.
tap.
Pass a note.
Pass a note. Just give a little tap. Hand a note that just says, "I have a tiny penis," and the person could turn and nod at you rather than saying it in a public
understand
place.
This, right? So I was walking through Queen Square the other day, and I heard the squeal of brakes, and they're a van shuddered to a stop in the middle of the road, right? And I was like, whoa. So I looked around, and the guy's staring at me. He gets out. He runs over to me. He's just parked his van diagonally in the middle of the road, okay? And he's like, "Oh my God, it's Lewis." I'm like, "Yes, nice to meet you." And he's like, "Can I get a picture?" I was like, "Sure." And so then, so he took a picture with me, but it was because it was in the shade and it was really dark. It looked terrible. And he was like, "Oh, we'll get a better one." And I was like, "Okay." So obviously, then there's traffic is already building up, okay, around this van.
Yeah.
So
right.
He gets back in and parks it up, and we took a nice picture in Queen Square and had a little chat. But it was like he was obviously shocked, and it was a really nice guy, and it was really nice to meet him. But it was kind of this reaction. Sometimes people react in different ways. P-Flax. It's like going back to the courts thing, Sometimes people react in different ways that you don't think will be normal, Maybe this guy on this bus, who saw this guy was just he just wanted to share that. He's never had an opportunity to be excited and share his passion with someone else before, He's never met another Triforce listener, maybe, or doesn't know anyone. Maybe his wife's sick of hearing it, his girlfriend's like, "Oh, those old idiots. No, don't listen to them," I'm the same. I'll watch some YouTubers, and my partner will abuse me about it.
Really?
Yeah, and you're not supposed to like the stuff your partner likes always.
Not always. There's definitely some
to.
crossover content though that you can both appreciate for various reasons, Married at First Sight and stuff like that.
Definitely, I've gotten into
some crossover.
Good Mythical Morning. I love those guys now, and I thought I wouldn't. I think I also have an aversion to other creators, certainly podcasts and YouTube to some extent. I'm almost some part of me is jealous of them, right? Because they're clearly funnier and more talented and more high production values than I am. They clearly work really hard at it and they really care. And I almost feel partly bad because I'm like, oh, I wish I was like this, or I wish I had as much positive energy as they do. You know, I'm almost jealous of their like of how nice they look, and that like people who take selfies. I'm like, oh, I kind of hate you, you know. But I think once you're over that hump, and they're not such a stranger anymore, because that's the other thing about these creators, right? Is that they think they know them. We talked about this all the parasocial stuff before. Maybe this guy who stopped in the van, you know, felt like he knew me, which he kind of did, because, you know, this is me. He listens to me all of these times talking. I mean, I feel like as soon as I know these people, like Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning, I'm like, oh, these are my best friends now. I love this show. And it's weirdly, even in my head, it goes from me disliking them and being jealous of them to really enjoying their content and watching it every day in like a very kind of short time span. And it's very irrational. It's very crazy when you try and it sounds like I'm schizophrenic around it, you know, almost like I'm like flipping back and forth, but that's just kind of how humans are. They make weird calls on people, and you know, you think you know whether someone is good or bad, you know, just by looking at them, whereas you've got no evidence at all. It's fascinating stuff, P-Flex. What's the next one? Give us the next one.
Okay. This is...
I needed to get that out. Sorry. It's
Hope
been
you
building
feel better.
up inside me. Yeah,
Oh,
thank
man.
you. This is what this podcast is. It's like sometimes just
It's his
Lewis's
therapy session.
rants.
Yeah.
This is from a nurse. This is works in high care neurosurgery. They've done this for a decade, and they say that e-scooters are the bane of their life because the number of people that have had devastating brain injuries from these scooters is unbelievable. When I say devastating, I mean pretty much comatose, not able to communicate, long-term tracheostomies, whatever that is, PEG/nasal gastric tube feeding, and will be in this state for the rest of their lives, needing full care with absolutely everything. Not even younger people. I looked after a 50-year-old lady the other day. Wear a fucking helmet. You only get one brain, and you're pretty useless without it working properly. I mean, I have managed thus far without a properly functioning brain, but yes, this nurse is correct. Remove e-scooters from your daily riding habits unless wearing a helmet, I suppose, is the message there. Do be careful.
Yeah.
Definitely get those helmets on,
Yes,
guys.
please.
I don't want no Triforce listeners
Don't
in a
take
coma.
big risks with your noggin like that. You've only got one. You only have one noggin. And
although I think probably that list, I was going to say, like, you know, you can visit people in the hospital and put headphones on them to, like, you know, play music to them and stuff, and maybe something familiar sounds. You know, if you're listening to this and you're in a coma, snap out of it. Come on, get up. Come back to us, Dave. We need you.
Can I tell you something else exciting that happened to me this week that I would like to share with you guys? It turns out actually a lot has happened.
And if this podcast has put you in a coma, I'm very sorry.
Yeah, no. If you're in a coma, you're going to wake up after this one. This is insane.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so the other day, Ricky Gervais tweeted, and he said, whenever you're feeling down about life and thinking that no one cares, just remember that you'll be dead soon and none of this will matter. Have a great day. To which I replied on Twitter, thanks, ! And he liked my tweet immediately. And I just thought, that's pretty cool, actually. You know, like, this is Ricky Gervais.
Congratulations,
he liked my reply.
That is the internet, that you could do that.
Yeah, I felt so close to him in that moment. I just thought, wow, this is great. And you know what? I showed my wife and my mother-in-law, and they were just like, holy shit, like, this is insane. Like, they couldn't believe it. I was just kind of like, whatever, you know, like, I'm on Twitter all the damn time. They were just, like, they couldn't believe it.
I love this story.
They just couldn't believe it.
Right.
So there you go.
Fascinating.
Flax, you're very quiet. Maybe jealous?
Well, you don't like Ricky Gervais, Flax, at all, do you? You think he's a dick.
Gosh, I've had a very aggressive email here to the
Oh, right. Oh, he's just stunned by something else.
All right.
We won't talk about... I'm a big fan of Ricky Gervais. I'm impressed, Sips.
Yeah, I thought
was it. Did you respond immediately? Is that why?
Yes.
So he was like,
I think I caught him while he was like, because he just tweeted it
in that window where he had still had the tweet up, and
so
the replies were
he was
up.
frantically refreshing, watching all the likes coming in and stuff.
I think he hadn't wiped yet, so he was just sat on the toilet with nothing else to do.
Yeah.
That's mostly where I make
caught
my
him at the
tweets as well.
perfect time, but man, I was
wow.
What if, as he liked your reply, his poo hit the water.
Do you think he liked my reply and then immediately muted me, or maybe even blocked me?
Why would he have done that? Like,
well, I'm just, I don't know why anybody would ever do that, but
I think your reply was so generic.
Yeah, thanks.
I think that there's no way he would have read the sarcasm in that if there even was any. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you'll be all right, Sips. All right. What have you got? What's this? You all right, P-Flex? You'd be shell-shocked by a horrible email.
Yeah.
You got an aggressive email. What was it like? How aggressive are we talking here? Do you not want to share it?
It's football related.
Oh, right.
So
okay. Here we go.
This is from some fucking idiot who's a Portsmouth fan. Called, awkwardly enough, Lewis. So,
whoa, he's a Pompey fan. It might be me. Yeah. I love the Pompey.
Fuck off. So this is about Brexit football. We were talking about Brexit football.
Right.
What is that?
Well, if you let me read the fucking email.
Sorry.
He's this guy. He's already all jacked up because of the aggressiveness of this email.
Sean Dyche, ex-Burnley manager, eats gravel for breakfast. Brexit footy is long ball, tough defensive football that Sean employed in his time in charge of Burnley in order to get results with a very cheaply put together squad. I'm going to stop doing it because it's going to hurt my throat, but that's what Sean Dyche sounds like.
Right.
Harks back to 80s football on muddy pitches where the ball spent most of the time in the air and has connotations to the idea that Brexiteers long for the old days. For me, as a hater of the Premier League, and I'll come back to that in a moment, it's proper footy, proper tackles, proper lads giving their all. Plus, Burnley were an unpopular club due to their traditional ground and small attendances, much like shitty Bournemouth. But because they pass the ball a bit and are in the south, they don't get slated. This is from Lewis the Pompey fan. P.S. Scumhampton and irrelevant Bournemouth, both 9-0 embarrassments. LOL, play up Pompey. Interesting, Lewis, that you are a hater of the Premier League now that you are so fucking far from it. Because Portsmouth were in the Premier League for some time, weren't they? And you fucked it up the wall with your stupid signings and letting Harry Redknapp run willy-nilly with the checkbook. And where are you now? Let me just look up. Where's Portsmouth? Where's Portsmouth FC playing? Let's just have a little check. Oh, you're in League One. Get fucked.
No, but they're playing teams that are towns that I've never heard of, honestly. Where the fuck is Crawley Town or Burton?
No, exactly.
I mean, jeez.
I just think it's ironic. Oh, this is proper football. I prefer this. Now that you're so fucking far from Premier League and your dump of a town and dump of a ground and shithole team are nowhere near the Premier League now. I hate the Premier League. But when you were up there, you fucking loved it.
So is Brexit football just boring football? Is it like just dull? Is it dull? Is it just like grinding defensive football that's like uninteresting?
Exactly. Lots
just
of
like to
elbows.
wear them down. Is it like the boxers who just get punched until their opponent tires out and then they punch them once? Yeah.
I'm only kidding, Lewis. Obviously, that's Lewis from fucking Portsmouth.
Did you guys?
He's only messing with you, Lewis.
Did you guys see the footage of that guard who collapsed at the Queen lying in state? You know, like how she's got all those guards around the
guards are collapsing every fucking
6 hours. They got to stand there for, and this guy just poor guy, man. He just fully collapsed, face planted on the ground, like holy shit.
It's so common when you stand to attention like that. Like for people to faint, man. I've seen it happen to like tons of people.
When I was in the cadets, it used to happen all the time. We'd go to Memorial Sunday
all the time.
You're just having to stand there in uniform for an hour and a half, and kids just fucking keel over.
Honestly, that the officers are on lookout to catch people. Honestly, and they because it's so common.
Imagine doing that in the heat. If she died in the summer in the 41-degree heat. Fucking hell, we don't.
Man, imagine you rocked up there, took your post, and you're like, all right, it's only 6 hours, so I'll be fine. And then all of a sudden, you started getting some tummy grumbles, and you're like, fuck, I've got diarrhea.
Got an itchy ass.
No, you just got full on fucking just like the initial pangs of like really bad diarrhea.
Yeah, that awful gurgling, slightly painful stomach turn where you think, fuck.
Yeah, and every time you fart, you're worried that some leakage has occurred, sort of thing.
This is going to be mud butt all day.
Oh man, imagine that! Just having to weather through that for 6 hours while you're standing on guard. Holy shit!
I guess there's going to be no, you're also on that sort of stuff. You can't just have a big night or an unlucky night out, right? Where you've had, eaten something bad that's going to give you problems. Like you can't be rushing to the toilet every 20 minutes, can you?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that when they do this duty, that morning they've eaten something really stodgy, and then they take some Imodium before they go on.
I
'Cause
would
you wouldn't
I
wanna-
would do
you
two
wouldn't wanna
things
do
if
that.
I was doing that. If I was on guard duty for 6 hours a day, the first thing I would do, like Flax just said, Imodium for sure. Even
Imodium
if I didn't
guaranteed.
feel like I was gonna have
100%,
diarrhea,
100%.
I would just preemptively take some Imodium just to make sure. Another thing I would do is I would jack off as well. Because if
You've
listen,
gotta.
if you're standing there for 6 hours,
Oh
your
my
mind's
God,
gonna
you're
wander.
right.
And if you're standing there and you're getting horny and stuff, like and you're threatening like some like little boners or whatever, you can't have it. Like it's just
No.
impossible. So you must jack off before you do guard duty, I think. Like
I think maybe just to like
Private
put a,
Is
yes.
that a boner in your trousers?
Collins.
Sir, you said stand to attention, sir.
Oh, that's such a carry-on joke, isn't it?
exactly.
Oh fuck me.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right, we
Oh,
got time for a couple of quick emails. This is from Alex. We talked about call centering, being in a call center, working from home. Basically, y'all are right. Thanks, Alex, for referring to us as y'all. I love that. The calls do just come in. You get a beep, you better get ready to talk. Most days you're swamped from start to end of shift. Barely have time to touch existing customer cases. Other days it can be slow. You can be sitting there playing your Switch or whatever. My coworkers always have a Zoom channel running to chat shit and ask questions when we're not on calls. Interestingly, I went into office a few times after reopening from COVID and found it less productive because it's just rows and rows and stalls of people in other roles just standing around talking over you or goofing off.
Yeah.
So yeah, Alex says working from home,
There
best
you go.
thing ever.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, so fuck you, Lord Sugar, and your dumb opinion.
Oh, that's right. It was about Lord fucking Bellend Sugar, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Bellend,
remember
what
now.
a great word.
Bellend.
God,
Yeah, I love
word.
that. I love calling somebody a bellend. I love calling somebody a twat. I love calling somebody a cunt as well. Man,
Oh god, yeah.
man, there's a few things that are so
Oh.
satisfying in this life, you know, and somebody's
Yeah.
just acting like one and you're just like, what a cunt.
You know what? Mrs. F really doesn't like to use that word.
No.
She doesn't like me to use it,
No.
which is fair enough.
Yeah.
But you know what? Occasionally she'll break it out if she really doesn't like
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
That's how I
Yeah.
know she's fucking this
Yeah.
person's on
It's like
personal kill
reserved.
list.
It's reserved
Yeah.
for very heated moments. Yeah.
I'm definitely more sparing with it. Just to
I
give
am
it a
as
bit of
well,
extra.
but
Yeah.
no, my wife. Like, I would never say it around my kids or anything like that.
No, God no.
Jesus,
Good
I don't
This
Lord.
is
wanna hear that.
this is from Bradley.
Oh
who
man,
says-
I'm watching.
This-
Okay, I'm watching the guards are changing. I've always wanted to see this. You should see them coming in. There's just a
You-
whole new regiment of them. There's about 8 of them. No, 10
Yeah.
of them. Oh man, everybody stopped to look as well. This is kind of cool, actually.
It's the changing of the guard.
Yeah,
a
but
thing,
it's
I think it
but it's
happens
at the,
every day.
No, but
right?
it's the lying in state changing of the guard. 'Cause
Where are you watching this?
just on the BBC News channel. They got a live stream of it. You can watch it if
Oh,
you.
let me
I've just
have a
had it
look.
on in the background. It's kind of soothing.
iPlayer.
I tell you what, it's touching as well. When you see people coming in and they're like bowing to the coffin and stuff, it's kind of nice to know that people are.
You're allowed 1 minute.
Yes, which is fair.
No, I'm
enough.
just saying that like the queue is 5 miles long. Yesterday it was 5 mile
Yeah,
long queue.
it's like a 12
see the
plus
coffin.
hour wait apparently to get
Yeah.
through. But they're
Nuts.
expecting like fucking millions of people to go
Oh,
through.
God, yeah.
It's insane.
I just can't imagine. And fair play to these people, but I can't imagine saying cancel the plans for this week. We're driving down to London. We'll stay in a hotel and we're going to queue up for 12 hours.
You don't need to fucking stay in a hotel. There's people 30 hours on the concrete. They're camping.
But apparently you're not allowed sleeping bags. Or
Some
anything
people
like
have
that.
babies and everything. I don't know how they're managing.
It's
I
mad.
can't leave my house for 5 minutes with the baby. They're like
Right.
12 hours. What the hell?
Just, I can imagine dragging your kids to stand in a queue for that length of time. I'm going to say it. That's bad fucking parenting right there. I'm sorry, but that is bad parenting. Don't do
But my
it.
baby loves the Queen. What the fuck?
Madam, no crying babies in the queue. You have to go to the back.
Hey, apparently for the funeral, they've invited all these people to come, and they've said, when you land at Heathrow, we're going to put you all on a bus to take you to the funeral. Like, these are like
Yeah.
world leaders and stuff.
No
I
way.
know.
And Joe Biden's like, I'm not taking the bus.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, he's got
yeah,
his
I
own
saw
fucking
that.
tank in the back of Air Force One and stuff. Like he's
Look, I'm
going to
not
hop
kidding,
on the
but-
bus.
You can't put President Biden in a fucking bus.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Mr.
You
President.
can't put any world leader in a
Diving
fucking
in front
bus.
of him. Do not go
Oh,
on
you
this
could
bus.
stick a few in there. You
Yeah.
know,
I
but
guess the eco-friendly ones like Jacqueline Ardern and
you could
some
chuck
of
the
these other
Dutch
guys.
on there. The Scandies will do it. No
They'll
problem.
Scandies will do it. Yeah.
Maybe the Germans. The French won't. They got to go on a bicycle with a ring of onions around their neck and a hoopy sweater. That's the only way that they'll fucking get there.
So interestingly, with this lying in state business, like for the Queen, obviously, and King and stuff, but apparently they also extend this to some prime ministers. Like, for instance, Winston Churchill lied in state when he passed away.
But he was actually a prime minister that people liked.
Yes, because I don't think Thatcher lied in state, and
I think it would be a gamble.
Yeah,
I think it would be a big gamble.
I think it would be. Yeah, I think there'd be some trouble. But it's interesting, right? Like I don't know. Like I'm sure like other countries with monarchies have this sort of thing, but I don't know. Like maybe just because we live in Britain and we're much more aware of it or whatever. But it seems like it does seem very unique, right? Like I don't think they would do anything like this for presidents in America
not for
or
presidents,
whatever. Even though there is quite a bit of pageantry around presidents and stuff.
Oh, there's a lot of pageantry.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be like
one of the other
much.
leaders, they did this. Was it Lenin? I think they stuck in a glass coffin for people to come and look at. So.
Yeah, that's interesting
Lenin.
too.
Yeah, they've done it a lot with people like that. I think some of them are still on display in a very grim way.
Yeah. So here's one to end on. A light-hearted one, but one that I think I would like to hear Sips' take on this. I know what mine is. It's from Bradley. This question applies more to Period and Sips.
Okay.
Apologies, Lewis.
Yeah.
You
fine.
often talk about your attraction to other women and say things like big bazongas.
Yeah.
I've often wondered what your wives must think when they hear things like this from the room over. As a 25-year-old, if my girlfriend heard me talk about other girls and their bazongas, I'd likely not have a functioning penis. Huge fan and cheers. I think I've been with Mrs. F since 1995, so 27 years we've been together. She has heard me refer to bazongas so many times over the years, and luckily she's a confident woman who is assured by the fact that we have been together for 27 years that me talking about other women's bazongas is meaningless drivel.
Yeah, I think
I'm not actually latching onto them like some kind of limpet and clamping myself onto random pairs of bazongas and being like, oh, these are my bazongas now.
Yeah.
I'm a married man, but that doesn't mean I don't have eyes and can't see a crack in a set of norks coming my way.
It's an interesting one. I think it's context, and I think it's like threat assessment too with women, or at least in my case.
Threat assessment.
No, but listen, okay. So if I comment on somebody's bazongas, if we're watching TV together and I say, "Holy crap, look at those bazongas," my wife would be like, "Yeah, she's got huge bazongas." Like, we can identify somebody who has like just a big pair of bazookas and talk about it together, and it's not me being like, "Oh, look at those bazongas." Like, I'm not like getting horny about it. Like, exactly. We're commenting on them, right? Alternatively, if I came home from work and I was like, "Oh my God, you should have seen Shelly's tits today at work. They were magnificent." She would be, rightfully so.
Exactly.
Enraged.
There's a difference.
Yeah. I mean, it's always joking around. I would never comment hornily on somebody's tits ever.
Yeah, I'm not like elbowing Mrs.
No.
Epstein. Love, look at that bird's chebs over there. Look at the fucking chebs on her. Like, no. It would be a comment that we would make either as a joke or in passing.
I don't know if you're like this with your wife, Flex, but me and my wife are at the point in our relationship where we will just talk about like how people look, like regardless of their sex as well. Like, if we're watching a show and somebody's handsome, I'll be like, "Holy crap, that is a very
this dude is so fucking
handsome man. He is really good looking." And my wife will be like, "Yeah, I mean, like, no doubt." But that's always countered with some sort of downside that we both recognize that we'll then talk about as well. You know what I mean?
100%, dude.
Yeah, it disarms the whole thing, sort of thing.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's just a natural way for you to just be a bit superficial in private with your significant other. Yeah,
person.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And we do it all the time. And it's
all the time.
It's nice.
I think it's deluded to think it's absolutely insane to think that if you're in a relationship with someone, you're suddenly not attracted to any other members of the opposite sex.
No.
Right.
The reality is that you are going to be, and if your partner or your spouse is blind to that, then that's a problem that with that relationship that you've got with them. I think I don't like this idea that you can't that being nice to a waitress or someone means suddenly you're attracted to them, and then you've got this idea that the girlfriend has to be jealous of that.
Yeah,
I think it's very High School Musical.
Yeah.
it's kind of almost naive, right? Like or deliberately sabotaging a relationship to not acknowledge that. Like maybe it's because my partner is bisexual in a sense, and so am I a little bit. But in the week we can talk about people and acknowledge that yes, this person is attractive, or that looks good, and you know. But I think that we are in a relationship together, and we both know that we are not going to be unfaithful, and we trust each other enough that means nothing. You know, me acknowledging that someone's got nice boobs, if I was to do that, which is not a thing that I particularly would do anyway.
No,
just casually. I think, like you said, it has to be loaded, unless I'm kind of being really creepy about it, or you know,
I think that's the main thing.
If
you're creepy about it, people will pick up on that, and that's upsetting for sure.
But I think that if it happens to be a thing where, you know, someone's looking great, you're like, well, damn, you know, she or he was looking great today. And you'd be like, yeah, they've really improved themselves, or they look great, or that looks good on them. You know, I think in a sense, it's also about taking lessons, because if I see someone attractive, I'm like, you know, maybe I should take a lesson from what they're wearing or how they are standing.
I think that's all perfectly balanced and normal. But for some people, even noticing that someone else is attractive or has a large pair of tits is like, oh my God, that's so inappropriate. So I think some people are kind of quite repressed and terrified of noticing other human beings.
Yeah.
I think
they think it's creepy automatically if you see someone else and say they're attractive.
You have to read the room too, right? If your partner is somebody who doesn't like comments about other people's looks or whatever, you just have to recognize that, and that's it. You know?
I'm never going to make a public comment about the size of someone's breasts or whatever. I might make a comment about how they look nice in a dress, or nice in a top, or nice in a pair of shoes or whatever. I'm never going to say, look at, did you notice that giant set of tits? You know,
what about like the theoretical? That's the bordering creepy though. I bet she'd look great in a thong or something like that. And then they're like,
that is bad. That is bad.
Why are you thinking that far ahead on this?
Okay.
It's weird. Yeah,
I think you can safely acknowledge that people are attractive. You know, but it's the way that if you're constantly bringing up how other women are attractive, in the way, and almost implying that your partner isn't, then that's a problem. I think there's healthy things to do and unhealthy things to do, and I think that you got
to find a balance.
Yeah, I think you might get the impression that we're not sensitive, but we are like you guys. We're trying our best to make these relationships their own work and have a happy wife, happy life. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think thank you for the comment, but I'm pretty sure P-Flex and Sips aren't just constantly bringing up giant tits when they're out on the street. Like, whoa, did you see those massive pair of baps that just flashed by? It's like, Jesus, no.
Wait, pull the car over. Look at those.
That's me in the van when I see them.
Yeah.
That's like that guy that screeched the van to a halt for an autograph with you. I screeched the van over to get out and say, right, missus, look at the size of the chaps on this birdie. Yeah. And they back in the van and I'm off. Yeah, no, that's not it at all.
What you guys were saying about the selfies and stuff made me realize, like, recently, most of the people I've met, nobody's asked for a selfie. And maybe I'm just fucking old and ugly, you know, like nobody wants a picture with me. Like
sometimes it's really like 50-50. Yeah, I think you've just had a few coin flips. A lot of people I meet don't want to take a selfie because
I'm kind of happy when people don't want one though. Like I don't mind just having like standing there and having a chat for a couple of minutes or whatever, and then moving on. I don't need to have a picture and stuff. Like I'm cool just to say hi and like how you doing.
Also, I'm worried that the selfie that they take, if I'm not looking very happy in it, they're going to remember that meeting with me as this sort of thing where Lewis was very unhappy when I met him, you know. But just,
I don't know.
Like, it's just a bad picture, dude.
Does anybody ever go back to look at those pictures, though? Realistically,
I wondered that, and I assumed that they just end up on their phone.
I've got tons of pictures on my phone that I've never looked at.
I think pictures do shape your memory though of stuff. Like if you looked really happy and think, you could say, "Oh, that was really great when we went here," and then actually you look at your diary or whatever, it's like the worst holiday ever. You know, it just happened that there was a nice.
I guess
picture.
Most people take a picture of something to post it somewhere immediately and then forget about it, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I took a selfie with Ghostface Killer And like, I posted it on Twitter, but I've never looked at it again. Like now that I've remembered that I have it, maybe I'll go back and look at it.
Don't worry, when you're in the home, we'll have that sort of family book.
Get me my iPhone 6.
Ghostface Killer.
This is you. Do you remember Ghostface Killer, Chris? Do you remember Ghostface Killer?
Yes.
You had a nice time with him, didn't you?
I remember him, yeah.
Oh no. I filled my diaper.
Back into the coma with you.
Oh man!
All right, well that's that. Thank you very much, everyone. That was a little magical sprinkling of fairy dust on that podcast, and Tom H will make it spiffy.
Good luck.
Yep.
Good luck.
Cut all the bazongas. No, keep all the bazongas stuff. Keep whatever you want. You're in charge, Tom.
I think a sprinkle of mailbag livens up the episode.
It
I
does.
like that. Yeah, it was nice.
Good.
It's weave it in amongst the other.
Maybe we should use it as a seasoning rather than as a full meal.
It was hard to do the mailbag this week though, because I had so many cool stories to tell. It's just been such a big week. I just thought, you know what? I know we were gonna give Tom the big up, but like I want to give the big up to this week. My week has been worthy of a big up. I think.
Tom,
I think the
we're
big up
taking
is
away
gonna,
your big
not
up.
the MRI staff or the Queen or anyone else. Just your week.
Come on.
Okay,
We're taking away
fine.
the big up for Tom.
Yeah.
We'll
Sorry, Tom.
rescind
Maybe next
that.
time, but my week really
next
needs
week.
to get the big up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, good. Okay, good. Glad we decided on who was getting big up. See you then.
See you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.